Thanks so much for joining book club today. Don't forget to like and subscribe and get ready to hear from some doulas who know squat. All right, your support network. We kind of skipped. We were talking about support networks earlier. Mm-hmm. Do you guys have any tips on building a support network? Because some people are like, man, yeah, great. Thanks for giving me that advice again.
Go volunteer. Always thing I tell people anymore. I can't find my village. I'm like, just go volunteer for something that you care about, and you're guaranteed to find other people who like care about the same things you do.
Whatever it is you're passionate about, find that, and then go volunteer there.
Yep.
And you will find, and that's what's worked for me multiple times in my life when I've been struggling to find people, find my people.
And when you find your people, you will find yourself doing a lot of good as well.
Yep.
So yeah, definitely. That's advice too.
That's what I like to work.
That's what we did. That's what all three of us.
That's why
we're here.
It's happened. It worked for me when I had younger children as well. My two best friends, we met through church, but we were volunteering together. We were in a life group, but we did various things with our church together that we just kind of kept being pulled together through. And now we've been friends for 20 years or so. And I'm 10 hours away and we're still that's how you find your village. Is finding what you're passionate about and then working towards it together.
When it comes to looking for other young moms, taking classes, we talked about this in a previous book club. But going to exercise classes that are specific to pregnant moms, breastfeeding prep courses, childbirth education, anything that's in person. And then you will meet other people who are at the same point of pregnancy as you, which can be helpful. So keeping in mind, do that tends to be that you have a little bit of a fall off after each you get your baby and you all kind of hibernate a little bit. But then, keeping their contact information, reach back out. It is amazing how often they wanted to reach out as well, and just didn't.
Isn't that such a big thing, that being afraid to reach out because what if somebody is busy or doesn't want to? Or I forgot to answer your text message a month ago and now I'm feeling weird about it. Just send the text message again.
Yeah. A lot of times I'll open up my messages and I'm like, oh, I even typed it out. I'm just gonna press send. And then I literally will just press send. And then after that I say, sent a month after I planned on it, or something along those lines. And they're like, ah ha ha, that's funny, if you're friends with the right people. All right, body image issues. That's a rough one.
Your body changes so much during pregnancy and postpartum. I mean, it's a journey, and it's going to keep changing, but it's not bad.
Right.
It's a hard thing to come to.
Yeah, once again, partners can be incredibly helpful with the body image issues. Be vocal, be loving, in the way that she's responding to best. If what you're doing is making her giggle or do the eye roll, but she's kind of smiling or whatever, that. If it's causing her to kind of go like this and cover up, not that, and it's going to be different for everybody. So it's kind of hard to give just straight up advice for that. Because it's really going to depend. I've had clients that during pregnancy is when they felt the most attractive. And they're asking me toward the end how to keep the weight on because they've never been able to gain weight before. And they're so excited to have a little bit of meat on their bones. And I'm like, eat dates. It's kind of hard to fight your own biology and genetics when it comes to that. If you're having difficulty gaining weight, you're having difficulty gaining weight. If you're having difficulty losing weight, you're having difficulty losing weight. That's just a lot of it.
Your body likes to stay where it's at. The change is always hard. And then you have a new normal, like once the hormones of pregnancy get involved sometimes too. So
Yep. being patient with yourself or accepting yourself for the way that you are. Either way, I mean, it's gonna really just be whatever works best for you.
That goes back to self-talk and that internal monologue.
Yeah.
Maybe she stays positive.
Mm-hmm.
Good job.
So the next two are in both categories. Some stressful life events under risk factors you can and risk factors you cannot control, which makes sense because there are some stressful life events that you can control and some that you can't. So I figured just talking about some different ways to handle stress when you have a newborn.
Knowing that it's okay to let them down and then walk away if you need to.
Yes.
Take a moment.
Knowing it's okay to call in a partner or a friend or someone you trust who you can leave the house for a little bit.
Yeah, I think it did like mention in this book, like getting outside of the house, like as like often as you can. Like even if it's just stepping out the front door,
Yeah.
and sit on your deck.
Go wander around probably maybe the store and just window shop.
Mm-hmm.
It's tremendous how much just feeling like yourself again, like the person that you were before, all of these changes can completely refresh you and give you that, oh, I'm still a person back.
Even if before this happened you were a homebody, it's still good to leave the house.
And it's like
That
you
reset is
don't
just good.
have to go around other people. You can just walk around you. If that's like being around people, I mean that could be stressful.
Go in your own backyard if you have one, or back on your terrace, or sit out. You have a front door, sit a chair there, sit in front of it. There's a way to get outside and still be isolated, hopefully.
And for the moms who find themselves without any help of any kind and you're just by yourself, back to Jamie's point, it's really okay to put baby down and leave the people with it.
Yes, I've actually been on the phone before with ended up becoming a client. She wasn't yet. And she was crying. I could hear baby crying in the background, and I heard the door shut, and I said, "Did your husband just get home?" And she said, "Yes." And I said, "Awesome. Please hand the phone to him. And I would like for you to go find somewhere outside to walk to. Leave the baby." And she just was able to leave the room. She wasn't comfortable leaving the room with the baby still crying, but just completely hand off the partner. And then I caught him up on everything that was going on. And he and I talked about talking to her about how it is not shameful to put your baby down and to leave the room. Because you can't pour into somebody else if your cup is empty. In fact.
And babies sense that stress and that anxiety sometimes. Which to me is why, and I didn't learn this until my third, so, and it's been a long time, but that ability to say, I just need 2 minutes and I know you're safe. And just walking away for 2 minutes, breathing, whatever that mantra is that you have, breathing, getting some space for a moment, and then going back in refreshed and able to take care of it.
You're so much better able to problem solve from a place of calm rather than just like intense anxiety and overwhelm.
Yeah, every mom has felt it at some point. I mean, we get into those moments like that and we feel so low. No one else has felt it. I'm the only one who's doing this. And then again, that mantra, self-talk starts. So just being able to say, I need to breathe. This is too stressful right at this second. And I'm going to step away.
Yeah. And, all of us have experienced that. And that's one of the things that, when we're doing the childbirth education classes is so helpful. We would say, hey, do you guys think that I seemed like I was a decent mom? Seems like I kind of know what I'm doing. We're like, yeah, I put my baby down and walk away. I experienced postpartum mood disorders. That does not make you a bad mom. And there's nothing wrong with separating yourself from the situation. That makes you a good mother.
Definitely.
Some financial issues in both categories. really quickly because, giving financial advice isn't really necessarily what we do.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, just knowing that there are resources.
There we go. I saw that and I was like, I don't know what we're going to talk about, but I'm sure someone will have something. To mother's closet.
Yeah, right.
Tell your church that you're having a baby. The baby showers are going to be really helpful. But there's programs everywhere that give away free baby stuff. Yeah. Cloth diaper. Honestly, get some used cloth diapers from someone, which makes it very affordable. And then you never have to buy diapers. You use those. I mean, that is such a money saver.
Mm-hmm. And there are cheap ways to buy the cloth diapers too. You don't have to do a the top brand fancy cutesy ones.
True story.
You can get free folds and some covers and you don't need that many of them.
Mm-hmm.
Just enough for one day.
Yeah.
At minimum, probably one day, but then, or if to be able to not have to do laundry. It just depends on where you're at. If the financial stress is the big thing, or if laundry is the big thing, where are you at?
Right, 5 million. There are risk factors listed on page 42, but it's pretty repetitive from what we just talked about. We would end up having the exact same conversations. So just pointing out that it exists and then moving on to page 46, where we're getting into chapter 3. Do you have postpartum depression? I flipped right past page 46. Okay, I just wanted to read down under what is normal. Many new moms have fears about their new responsibilities and their new role. Did you guys have any fears about?
I didn't understand how I was allowed to just bring this baby home from the hospital. There was no certification, no test. They just let me go home with this tiny human being that I was suddenly responsible for keeping alive.
Right, and how much do they eat, and how often is supposed to go to the bathroom, and
I went into it with the ridiculous confidence of an 18-year-old who thought she knew everything. So I was just like, it's a baby. We're fine. It's great.
Toad's got this.
And now I look back and I'm like, oh, we did that. He's 23. He's great. We made it.
The first thing my father-in-law said after my first was born was, congratulations. And then he took my husband and said, son, I just wanted to tell you, baby's dance. So that doesn't mean that you got a good thing.
But you will bump baby's head.
But you will bump them.
You will, and you will cry, and baby will cry, and everyone will be okay.
You will cuddle.
Yes.
So, yes, it's very normal for moms to have fears about the responsibilities of their new role. Normal. Ambivalence is a common feeling toward new motherhood, which I always thought was interesting. Mm-hmm. And underlined, there's always guilt because nobody's the perfect parent. Not a single person.
One thing that I like to point out is that between all 3 of my children, I had a very different response to each one as newborns. My first one was a doll. I was 18. And it was like, oh, this is fun. It's a novelty. It was cute. He was cute.
It's
friends all played with and we dressed up and it was just fun. And then my daughter, I had that immense, just that rush of hormones, that love the moment that I held her. Mm-hmm. She was just beautiful. And it was fun girl. I was very excited. Mm-hmm. And then my third, I had a horrible pregnancy. We had a hard labor. And then I had horrible postpartum depression. And so I had a hard time connecting to him. Mm-hmm. And he and I had this discussion recently, which is why it's going on.
We're talking about it.
He and I had a discussion about it recently where I just said, it was hard for me to really connect. It's hard for me as a new mom with you to really understand what you needed, because he had some trouble during the beginning, and I felt so much guilt. I felt guilt about it for years until I finally started to realize that this was normal. This was a part of that process, and you're not going to feel the same about each pregnancy and each child. It's not a carbon copy each time.
Right.
Which I think was a really big thing for me to understand, because I expected when he was born, despite how hard the pregnancy was, despite how everything that was going on in my life at that time, I expected that rush of hormones and that I'm in love with you. And instead I got, oh, there's a baby.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that happens. That can be really tough.
Mm-hmm.
I had that lack of rush of hormones, Emily, my first, but I knew that it was supposed to happen because I had taken the rapid method birth class and I grew up being told what birth was supposed to be like. So I felt a lot of guilt at that lack. And my husband didn't know that it didn't happen because I hid it really well, and he was telling people about how like home birth and breastfeeding made us so ridiculously bonded and was bragging essentially. And so I was just kind of fake it till you make it kind of thing.
Speaking of myth, that is one that you're going to have that automatic, no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't happen with every.
Your relationship with your child is a relationship with another person.
It is.
And relationships with other people are complicated and they change and they learn. It's not the same for everyone.
Yeah.
Remember, having a baby will rock your world. It's another thing that I underline, dear. And even though these feelings are so common, most of your friends will not spontaneously share the more gritty and unpleasant experiences of new motherhood, unless you join a group like ours, and we'll tell everyone. We're so open and honest about motherhood to make sure that everybody knows it's okay. And as long as your unenthusiastic thoughts and feelings come and go, you are okay.